Welcome to Elevate Your Life and Soul. I'm your host, Marla Kennedy, life coach, mama, and spiritual soul seeker. Each week, this podcast will bring you interviews, stories, and mentoring so you can truly know your value, know your worth, and elevate all areas of your life. Let's rise together. Hello, loves. Welcome to episode 22. There's been a lot on my mind lately. There's a lot going on in the world right now, and I just wanted to share how I'm feeling and what's been coming up for me. And it's not necessarily negative things or COVID related stuff either, although if you're interested in my perspective and my experience with COVID-19, I shared a podcast on InfoStraight, and I will put the link in the show notes. And I just shared all about how it's affected us and my outlook and perspective. And yeah, it was really fun to talk about. It was really, really nice to reflect on how I'm actually feeling. And the invitation is there for you to reflect on how you're feeling. What emotions are coming up for you right now? What is bothering you? What's lighting you up? What's lifting you up? And really tune into that, because if you're aware of what you're feeling, then if there's something there that's feeling like you feel a bit stuck or a bit down in the dumps, you can shift through it when you bring awareness to it. Awareness is the first step, the absolute first step to freeing yourself from things that are binding you, holding you down. And I'm in a really interesting place right now. My business is thriving like it's never thrived before. I nearly said throve, but that's not a word. I'm feeling so connected. And I know it seems like such a strange thing to say because we're so isolated and disconnected everywhere in the world, but I've been really tuning into connection. It's kind of been my word for COVID-19. I guess, we can have theme words for the year. My theme word for right now is connection. I've been consciously cultivating connection with people, and I'm doing lots of interviews in my Facebook group. I'm doing lots of interviews on my podcast. My program, the Self-Care Experience, is now in session. We started on Monday, so I'm connecting with the beautiful women in there, and it feels amazing. It feels so lovely to just connect, and I love sending little love notes, little voice notes to my friends and people in my life, and just saying hello, seeing how they are, and just checking in, because now is a beautiful time to check in. And what I've noticed is that my mindset is really strong right now. And, I know there's a lot of hard stuff happening in health, finance, all these different domains of life. And I'm someone that is a real empath, so I really feel emotions and I really integrate them, especially other people's. So for me, staying somewhat detached, sticking to the facts is really important. But what I've really noticed is that I'm seeing opportunity right now. I'm seeing possibility. I'm seeing growth, and I'm embracing that. I feel like I have my arms stretched wide open and just allowing all this magic to flow, because there's so much opportunity for connection, and it may not look how you think, but it's definitely there. Cultivate relationships. What a beautiful opportunity to slow down and tune in, cultivate a relationship with yourself as well. And at a time when I thought that it would be hard in theory to run my business and do the things I do for my business with connecting with people and coaching and stuff, I'm seeing opportunity, and I really, really, really believe this is a mindset thing. I haven't always had a strong mindset. It was really weak for a long time, and I hear people say you just have to believe, or you just have to focus on what you want and feel it. And I've had times where that's been hard, where I felt like I haven't been able to do that, but lately I really do, and I really get it now. And I really do think that taking action, even when it feels really confronting and hard and makes you feel stuck, is such a key piece to a strong mindset. That as my mindset gets stronger and stronger every day, I notice the actions I'm taking, the little commitments I'm making to myself every day. And I've spoken about this before. I remember when I was interviewing Hayley Rowe, we spoke a lot about little commitments, and in that episode on mastering your mindset, which is really great. I really enjoyed that episode because I learned a lot, and I was reminded that little commitments work. They're amazing. I love them. So that was episode 19. And what I mean by that is setting yourself up for success, setting tiny goals. You can have a big vision, you can have a big picture, but break it down, make it really, really small, and do one little thing at a time. It makes it so easy to keep going, to keep moving forward, and to see results, because you achieve this tiny little thing that it might seem insignificant at first, and you might kind of wonder why you would bother doing that. But honestly, these little things add up. Every little thing adds up. And I've had this thing where for years, since I was a little girl, I've wanted to be an author. I was the biggest bookworm as a child. I would just read and read and read and read, and I wrote a lot too. I was such a creative writer, and it was the thing that lit me up more than anything. And I still love to write, and when I really connect in with my soul, it just flows and it just feels so good. It lights me up like this podcast lights me up, but there's just something that flows through me and it feels really amazing. And I was the kind of kid that I remember one summer when we'd just moved overseas to Cyprus. I lived over there for a year with my family, and I hadn't started school yet, so I didn't know anyone, and we had the whole summer there, and I just buried myself in books, book after book after book. And the whole summer, I remember I have memories of walking around the house with my book. I wouldn't put a book down to do anything. It was literally glued to my hand. It wasn't literally glued to my hand, but it may as well have been. And I just chewed through the books. And I remember going on road trips, and I'm really fortunate I don't get like motion sickness or dizzy in the car. So we drive up to Exmouth, which is like a 12-hour drive, and I would have a basket in the car full of books, and I would just sit there and I would just read for the whole journey, and it was like heaven. I loved it because I love story. I love non-fiction. I mainly read non-fiction now, but I do love story. I love characters. It's why I studied screenwriting, because I just love characters and the stories they have, and I really believe everyone has a story to share. And it comes back to finding your voice, which is my passion. It's why I do what I do. I really, really believe everyone gets to find their voice and own who they are, and it's not about trying to be someone that you're not. It's about owning who you are and showing up imperfectly as yourself, And that means you might fall, but you learn from that. And there's so many gifts in doing that and so much growth. And for such a long part of my life, I really fumbled and numbed pain from my childhood and from my adoption and feeling like an outsider because of my skin color. And I numbed it and I people pleased and I just tried to be cool. I just wanted to be cool and liked and sought validation externally instead of looking within. And I really want you to know that you get to do things for you and you get to take actions for you. You get to have dreams, and they can be big dreams or they can be small dreams. It can be a really simple dream. Maybe your dream is just to have more time at home with your family and you find a way of getting that done. Or maybe it's a big dream. Maybe you want to write a book. I have always wanted to write a book, like I said, and I started, and I remember when I was young. I don't know if I started it in high school. I think I started it when I was like 19 or 20, and I called it Being Judged, and it was just about my experience of feeling judged and my adoption. And I still remember the first line, "Tell me the story, Mommy, please," because my mum used to tell me the story of when I was adopted, and it was my favorite bedtime story. And I stopped. My self-doubt got in the way and I didn't think I was capable of writing. I questioned myself and I just let it fall by the wayside when writing was my favorite thing. It was something I loved so much. And so recently I've been thinking about writing again and feeling like I haven't got time. And I think a big excuse we can make and give ourselves is that we don't have time, and that, there's too much else going on in life. And as a mama, well, that's a really prevalent story that I have. I don't have time. I've got 2 kids. I don't have time. And then I realized, what if all I needed was 15 minutes a day? And so I started writing again. And I set a clock and I write for 15 minutes a day. And I don't care what I write, I just let it spill onto the page. Right now it's just about getting into that practice of writing again and letting it flow. And you can do that too. You could do 10 minutes, you could do 5 minutes of whatever it is. The one thing, the step you want to take, the thing you want to do that you dream about but don't think you have time. Maybe it's drawing, maybe it's singing, maybe it's some art, some other kind of art or something. For me, it's writing a book and getting into the writing again because I so love it. And I can do 15 minutes. That is so achievable and it's so possible for me. And it's possible for you too. It's a mindset shift. I now know that I can. I now believe I can. And often I sit down and I'll write longer than that. But it's getting myself on the seat. It's making it a really small, achievable goal. If I set the goal as like an hour, even half an hour, I probably wouldn't do it. It would seem like too much of a mountain for me, given all the things I have got going on that are amazing things. They're blessings. I'm so blessed with my life and the things that I'm doing and my kids and my partner and all that stuff. And an hour would seem like a huge chunk out of my day that I don't know that I could necessarily commit to. But 15 minutes, yeah, I can do that. I can easily do that. Maybe that's a stretch. Maybe it is 5 minutes for you. Maybe it's 10 minutes. But take a look. Give yourself an inventory of your life. What is that thing, that one thing that you are really curious about right now that you want to explore, jump into, and See if there's something there for you. And it doesn't have to have a big purpose. Maybe it's just something you do for fun. But maybe as you start exploring it, there's something bigger there. There's more purpose there that's going to really unlock stuff for you. And how cool is that? How exciting is that to think that there's a possibility that that little hobby could turn into something much bigger? You don't know if you don't try. So I invite you to try. I invite you to open up your heart and drop into curiosity, because when you get curious, amazing things shift. I'll give you another example for me. I'm passionate about self-care and I'm passionate about coaching, and, I feel like I've really found my thing, my jam. It's amazing and I love it. And I started this podcast, and this podcast is an interesting thing because I think I've mentioned it before, but many years ago I was a student of radio. So I went to radio school and I loved it. I always wanted to be a presenter or a TV presenter, a radio presenter or something like that. It was a huge dream of mine, and my self-doubt, I got in my own way. Nothing panned out, but I did study. I did go to radio school, and it was so much fun, and I made some great friends, and just I learned a lot, and things have changed a lot since then. So I'm sure now a lot of the software and systems we were using is probably outdated, and I wouldn't remember half of it anyway, but I really enjoyed it, and I never did anything with it. Well, I volunteered at a radio station, and I did the midnight to 3 a.m. shift, and I remember I used to stack up all my favorite songs, put them in the queue for my drive home so that I could listen to like awesome music driving home. So that was really fun. But apart from that, that's where it ended. I didn't do anything else from there. And then I shifted and I did other things in my life, and then I decided to start a podcast recently. And I'd thought about it before, but it had seemed like that mountain again, that it probably wasn't a possibility for me because I was choosing not to see possibilities. And then, my partner is a videographer and photographer, and it was a really amazing opportunity for me. He could edit it for me, and I have done editing. Anyone can learn to edit. This is the thing, right? Anyone can learn to edit. Anyone can do it. You just have to learn and be open to learning. And so I have edited in the past when I was at film school. So I'm very basic, but I could do it. And I'm sure if I practiced and practiced, I'd get better and better. Given my time with the two little ones, it kind of felt like a mountain that I didn't really feel like I wanted to do, but I wanted to do the podcast. And that was my priorities. That's how I was prioritizing. But if I didn't have my partner, then definitely I probably would have just done it myself, because this podcast felt really important to me at the time. But I did. So I was able to outsource, which I'm really blessed by that. And so I just did it, and I didn't know what I was doing. I just pressed record and started talking, and then I decided I wanted to interview some people, and I started doing interviews, and it just evolved, and I found this love for it, right? But what happened was I was interviewing all these amazing people, and I was feeling really great, and I've only been doing it since January, so this is fresh. This is a fresh story for you, to show that it doesn't matter where you are in your journey, like mindset and growth and doubt still comes into play. And so I was doing my podcast and really loving interviewing these people, but I wasn't putting myself out there as an expert apart from on my podcast, and I I started thinking about it and getting really conscious about what I wanted. And I realized, hang on a second, Marla, you are getting in your own way and not putting yourself out there to be on other people's podcasts. And it's something you get to do. So I got really curious about that, and I started looking up posts when people had posted about podcasts. I found a group all about podcasting and with people posting all the time looking for guests. I got in there and I got out of my comfort zone and I started sharing my story and started talking to people and just saying, yeah, I would love to be on your podcast and this is my story or this is my area of expertise, and positioning myself as a bit of an expert and owning it, backing myself. And everything shifted for me. So much shifted for me in doing that. It really helped my mindset and my confidence, and it was amazing. It was just putting myself out there alone was a real big shift in itself. And then I started getting yeses, and people wanted to hear my story, and it's why I come back to finding your voice and owning your unique voice. People want to hear from you. You have a story to tell, you have a voice, and you get to use it. You get to stand up and talk about it. And this was such a real reminder for me of that. And I did this podcast that I just shared about earlier, and I'll put it in the show notes. And then this morning I was interviewed on another podcast. I did another podcast interview last week with some really badass women and some really exciting things. I've got some more lined up with some guys as well. I'm doing a Facebook Live interview on Sunday with the guy who lives in Germany. So, there's amazing things happening, but they're not happening. And I'm not saying this or sharing this to brag or to be boastful. I'm sharing it to make a point that I was getting in my own way. I was stopping myself from doing this because I didn't think I was enough in this particular area of my life. And as soon as I got out of my own way, it was really fast. And it's not always really fast. Sometimes it can take a while to catch up. But when I got out of my way, it shifted and things started flowing and the possibilities started coming and the opportunities started appearing. And that can happen for you too. So embrace the possibilities and get curious. Curiosity, it's one of my favorite moods. It is my favorite mood. And it opens up everything for you when you get curious. And, it's amazing, and I can help you. I can support you with this. So, if you're thinking about working with someone and wanting to hire a coach and wanting to go into this stuff, I can support you, and I'd love to support you. And you can reach out, send me a DM, check out my website, a link in the show notes, and see if we're a good fit. We can just have a chat and see what's up. And the other thing, and this is something I'm so excited about, if you're listening to this and you're a woman and you think you have a story, but you're nervous and you're not sure, you do. And I want to share it. So I have a Facebook group called Women Rising Together, and every week I interview a woman, a member of the group, about their story. I get them to share what's on their heart. They don't have to have a business. You don't have to have a business. Maybe you do. Maybe you have a thriving business. Maybe you're a stay-at-home mama. Maybe you're a uni student. It doesn't matter. I am here to support you in finding your voice. And you can share your story. You can join our group. I'll put the link in the details. It's called Women Rising Together. And the Facebook thing is facebook.com/groups/Women Rising Together now. And I would love to interview you. I am currently taking bookings for June onwards. We're booked out until then. But, you know, if you want to book ahead, you can. And then when the time comes around, you have time to think and prepare and, you know, own your story, because you have such a beautiful story and you get to give yourself permission to share it with the world. And I'm here to support you in doing that. So I'd love you to check it out. I hope today's been useful for you. This really is my favorite thing. I love sitting in here and just chatting to you and sharing what's on my heart. And I hope you find it useful. I really do welcome feedback. And if it resonates with you, if you like what you're hearing, I would be so grateful if you could leave a review for me. I'd love a 5-star review, because that will really help me get my message out there on iTunes. Would really touch my heart. And if that feels like something you could do for me, then I'd really love it. So thank you. Thank you for being here with me today. Thank you for being on this journey with me, and for all your support. I'm so grateful. I really, really love you. I love this podcast. I love this community. And thank you for allowing me to have a voice. And I can't wait to hear yours as well. Have an amazing day. Thank you so much for listening to today's show. If you like it, subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you love this episode, please give it an honest review on iTunes and let me know what you loved and what you want more of. Your feedback helps me truly elevate the show into something that really serves you and allows me to keep pouring my heart and soul into it. This is for you. Let's rise together. And remember, know your value, know your worth. I love you, beautiful soul.